you are easily triggered or offended, please exercise caution. Because the hosts really don't care. Warning, this show is not for children. And not for coworkers either. And yes, that includes you, Cindy.
You know, if you just asked to use my coffee mate, I wouldn't be upset.
Good morning, everybody.
Where the hell are you, in 1984?
Yeah. You got your update for your language codes that you're allowed to use, I'm sure.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
You know, that one is an actual real life scenario at work. The salespeople, I worked at this big radio station, and it had several radio stations in one building, and all the salespeople would come in for all the radio stations. All the salespeople would have a big sales meeting on Monday morning. So there was a bunch of people in the building on Monday morning, and they all like to come to our coffee room, our little coffee cafe that the DJs had. We had a little coffee cafe, a little radio cafe in there that we could relax in and stuff. And they would come in there, and they would always, on Monday morning, all my coffee mate was gone. My personal coffee mate that I bought with my money was gone. It was always gone because the fucking salespeople, man. So I had for a while, I had a coworker on another station, and she was always pregnant. Her and her husband had like 17 kids, it seemed.
Oh, my Lord.
Pregnant. And I asked her one day, I said, "Can I use you to keep my coffee mate?" And she's like, "Sure." So I got a mason jar, and I put my coffee mate in a mason jar, and I taped on the mason jar a handwritten note that said Roxy's breast milk. And honestly, surprisingly, no one stole my coffee mate after that.
Only way.
But I let Roxy use my. I was like, "You can use my coffee mate if you'd like, for letting me use your breast milk."
Honestly, that's brilliant.
Nobody bothered my coffee mate anymore. Cindy didn't get my damn coffee.
Damn Cindy.
Cindy's pissed me off.
It's not everybody's stuff, Cindy. It's my stuff.
That's right. The company didn't pay for this. Hello, how are you today this morning?
I'm okay, dude. Yeah,
Why are you in 1984?
Because of our title story. Our title story. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a little late. Everybody's starting without me. I'm here for the 2 minutes of hate, but they'll be all right. I'll catch up.
Okay.
I'll catch up. Yesterday after the show, I did my morning thing where I got my kids ready, took them to school, and then I get back to the house and I'm like, okay, I have a couple of hours to get ready to drive my family across Texas and pack the car, get all this stuff. Yeah. Okay. It's my mom. Today's my mom's birthday.
Oh,
so I'm like, I got a couple hours to like clean the car, get it loaded, pack things down, all of that stuff. And then my dad shows up at the house, and I'm like, oh, because my dog's whimpering. My dad shows up. My dad lives in Austin. I live in Houston. That's a few hours away. So he shows up at my house to drop off something for the kids. And I'm like, oh, hey. So then instead of him leaving, we sit and we talk for like 3 hours. Yeah, so that puts me 3 hours behind on my schedule to leave. So then, wife comes home and we go have a lunch date or whatever. And we end up not being able to leave Houston until like 5 o'clock at night. And then we had to drive like 200 miles across Texas. We didn't get here till 10. So
200 miles across Texas is only like this far in the state.
It's like we went from this part to this part.
We went from
the
far right to the right.
Yeah. I drove for like 4.5 hours yesterday,
and you didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, we didn't go that far.
That's pretty funny.
But so I'm here at my mother-in-law's. I'm staying at my mother-in-law's. I'm gonna go see my mom later today. Then it's Easter. Today's Good Friday, Deacon. It's the day that we all
Good Friday. That's right.
We all celebrate that people murdered Jesus today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody celebrates that, JJ. Not everybody believes in that.
What?
They like to let you know every day. Oh man, my new monitor.
Oh yeah.
So my monitor went out. We had a lightning storm over the weekend, and my monitor went out, or not over the weekend. Yeah, well, it was earlier this week. My monitor went out, and my audio speakers went out, and I fixed my audio speakers. But I come in this morning. JJ and I were working on the audio speakers yesterday after the show, and we finally got everything to work, going through the board and everything. And I come in this morning, and my settings on the computer, my audio settings on the computer had been changed to the monitor. And it was so weird. The weirdest crap is happening with the computers here in the past couple of days. It's like little gremlins are coming in here and just changing settings.
Well, it used to be your coworkers would come in and change your settings, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you got a new,
maybe plugging in this new monitor to reset the set. But
are you using?
I've got a new monitor here and my older monitor here, but plugging in the new monitor might have reset the settings on the old monitor. I don't understand. Anyway, whatever.
It depends on which one is the primary. Because like if you plugged it into a spot number one, it might have messed it up. Really,
that's true.
Look, 2 or 3 minutes after the show, I'll help you out.
Okay.
Or right now we can just show everybody.
No, I've been messing all morning with the monitors and speakers and everything, and so I'm a little behind on things that I do. All right, so let's get to this first story. I want to know about 1984. I haven't read that book in a long time.
So it turns out that for our own benefit, the federal government, the National Institute of Science. Ruby.
It's all right. It's no big deal.
Chill out, Ruby. Chill out. She's chattering.
Ruby.
Yeah.
Why is she chattering? Is she scared? Is she
I think so. I think she's like nervous or whatever.
She's nervous. Just love on her for a second. She's all right.
Come here. You want to be be famous?
She's a good, pretty girl.
Dude, you can be famous.
Look.
You guys, I don't think you can hear it. She's just
I can hear
it. All right. So, I'm sorry. The reason I have the image up is because I'm in my father-in-law's office, and I don't want you guys to see the military stuff that might expose his identity, or
that's fine.
Or the guns over there.
No big deal.
Or the guns over there. Or the guns over there.
Be sure and tell them that we greatly, I know you probably have from you, but let them know that, from me, your other co-host, and we greatly appreciate them accommodating you for this today.
Oh, so super. There's actually a missile propped up in the corner. I'm not joking. There's a missile propped up in the corner over there.
Let's fire that bitch off. Let's go outside. Let's shoot it off.
I have no idea why he has a missile in his office. Whatever. Okay.
Right. Yeah, you were telling us.
National Institute of Science and Technology, which is a federal agency that grants money to scientists and researchers to do important projects like, study the gender of grasshoppers and things like that. They have provided a new, they're very helpfully providing new race and gender speech codes for scientists to follow. So if you are a burgeoning scientist and you want to make sure that you are properly adopting Newspeak, the N.I.S.T is providing some guidance for you. It's totally optional unless you want money from the government. If you want any money from the government, you're going to have to abide by the will and the whims of the feds. Here we see the National Institute of Technology and Science Standards and Technology, a federal science and technology office has made gender speech codes as scientists the top priority. For example, federal employees are not to use words like blacklist or whitelist because of the racial connotations.
Why? Why? Because people are black and some people are white, and those are fucking words that define color of all, not just fucking people's skin, but other things in life. So when we talk about a blacklist or what the fuck, what the crap do we say? Crap.
This is real life. This is not the novel 1984. This is real life.
This is goddamn clown world. We can't use the word blacklist because it might offend somebody. The person that word offends, look, I'm being all honest and sincere from the depths of my heart here when I tell you, if the word blacklist offends you, I don't fucking care. I don't care.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't care about. I'm getting to the point, JJ, and I think I'm not the only one, where I don't care about your feelings. I don't give a shit anymore. I used to, and I would accommodate for you to try to make you feel fine and not make you feel as anxious and whatnot. But we've gone a little fucking overboard. And I'm getting sick of accommodating all of you fucking snowflakes. I'm not going to anymore. I'm not going to.
So, I mean, this it is a little bit if you dig into it, it's a little bit outrageous, because all of this stuff is done under the guise of like, well, we don't want to hurt people's feelings, we don't want to cause offense or whatever.
I don't care.
The fucking federal government should not be telling people what is okay to speak, what is okay to say.
Now I understand why you've got 1984 behind you.
It's like, it's not like normally when I do these kind of titles and stuff or do this kind of stuff, it's like, oh, this is, it's kind of a joke. This is fucking legitimately introducing Newspeak
today.
This is literally Newspeak. And I'm gonna get to what Newspeak is, because like I assume most people have read or maybe listened to the audiobook of 1984, but we'll get to that in a second. And we've certainly been fucking talking about 1984 since 2020.
Hey, Nutty.
Oh, he's on the radio. Okay. All right, so the N.I.S.T, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, is one of many federal agencies putting its attention onto taxpayer funds in these efforts of struggling to keep pace with a key mission. N.I.S.T sparked controversy for its inclusive language guidance, which tells scientists which words and phrases they can or cannot use in reports.
So now we're telling scientists we're basically censoring them on what they can say and they can't say. That's awesome. So any of you people out there that don't think that you're being taught wrong and have been taught wrong for years, pay a fucking attention. All right. So when we try to tell you that maybe what you've been taught and your father's been taught and your father's been taught was fucking wrong, and you scream at me and tell me I'm stupid because I don't celebrate Columbus, and you think you scream at me, pay attention to what JJ's saying.
The guys are over there in chat. I'm gonna have to catch up with them in a minute, but I only got one screen, so I do want to get through some of this. So blacklist, whitelist might cause comprehension issues, they say. Terms like master and slave that perpetuate negative stereotypes or unequal power relationships. So you literally can't talk about like master and slave, even if it would be like in the context of like, here's a master drive, here's a slave drive. This is the primary, that's the secondary, or maybe you're
why don't you use words like that, JJ? Instead of using master and slave, why don't you use primary and secondary as to not offend someone who thinks the word master and slave is offensive in me?
Can you imagine, like, if you said, okay, fine, I'll use primary and secondary, then like the next iteration down the line is like, well, when you use primary, it just means like you're like more important, so you can't use the word primary. Like, what the fuck? This is exactly what Newspeak which is fictional, was designed to do. Like Newspeak was designed to remove words from your vocabulary so that you don't have a way to express thoughts.
Right. It's like that. It was like that joke that I saw about the binary and non-binary. It was like you call yourself non-binary, okay? You want to be called non-binary, but if you really look into those words, by differentiating yourself into non-binary from binary, makes you a binary, makes it binary. Because you have binary and non-binary now. So it's binary.
You're non-binary. You're non-binary.
Am I wrong?
I don't think you. I mean, honestly, don't think you are. I don't think you are.
I'm not.
I just really think
by differentiating yourself as non-binary, you've made yourself binary.
Deacon, classically we believe that there's male and female. And then, with the advent of queer theory, there's kind of like this idea that there's a spectrum between male and female. But really, there's really just a spectrum between mental illness and no mental illness. And that's really where the non-binary spectrum is.
I mean, the mental illness, honestly, that word, maybe we need to, if we're talking about words here, that illness, maybe we shouldn't use the word illness, because maybe that will offend some delicate sensibilities of people. These people, we don't want to say you're mentally ill. We want to say that your chemicals in your brain are not flowing in the same context as the average person on the earth. Okay. Right. And that is not your fault or anything. It may be because of nature. Okay. And more than likely, these people that are screaming at the top of their lungs about this trans stuff, maybe it is I don't want to look at your genital parts, but maybe you've got half and half. I've seen the pictures of stuff. I know that nature does that. Okay. Right. And to think that nature doesn't do that in humans is stupid. We're ignorant to think that there's not people out there that are half male, half female, right. that stuff is screwed up, and they're screwed up. But also with that is screwed up the chemicals in your body.
Right.
Okay. And that includes your brain chemicals. So that when we say you have a mental disorder or mental illness, maybe those words we're using wrong. Maybe those words are automatically coming with a connotation that is making you think a negative aspect to it. Maybe we need to change the word in order to soften the fucking word a little bit. I hate to say that, but
I mean, maybe, look, even like
I'm going to fucking, I just got through saying I didn't care about people's feelings anymore. And here I am trying to soften words to make these fucking people feel better. So what the fuck, man? What am I supposed to fucking do?
One of the things you're saying, I don't necessarily disagree with. Like you're saying, like, oh, maybe it is natural. Maybe it's natural. Maybe this is a state of chemical and hormonal imbalance that's causing them to have this dysphoria and confusion. Maybe this is caused as a byproduct of the foods we eat, the things we drink.
It's always happened at a very low percentage, but all this bullshit that we've put into society is kind of amplified that very small percentage to a little higher percentage. Yeah, so you get more of these people.
I don't know, but I know that the National Institute of Standards and Technology is not going to issue any grants for you to figure out why people are fucked up and why their gender biology is chemically messed up, because it's going to offend somebody now. They're not allowed they're not even allowed to write a request to get grants, because they're going to be like, oh, your request. Anyway, let's see. There was blacklist, whitelist, master slave. Avoid identifying an individual's gender unless necessary for comprehension. So, or using terms that assign a gender to inanimate objects. So avoiding words like male, female, him, her, she.
So wait a minute. What is the end of this plug, and what's the end of this? What do you call that insertion point and this? What do we call this, JJ? What is the end of this plug
that's
called?
Usually like that's a part of the plug that's got kind of
an extension, a protrusion. And this
and,
part of the thing that you put the plug in has got an indention that you stick the protrusion in.
Right. So a like recessed cavity for insertion of a protrusion.
Exactly. So what would this end be called? What do we commonly call this end in society?
Male, rather than you. Yeah, right.
I was waiting for you to say it. The male end, because it's got a protrusion. This is the female end, because it's got an insertion point. We're not being sexual.
Just explaining to you how to plug a thing into a thing, it's going to take us like 20 times longer, because you're like, well, take the black plug. Sorry, not the black plug. Just take the
long cord, the cord that's take the.
Do you have scissors? It might be that we can. Modify the cord.
Can you strip all of the covering off the cord so that we can identify the color if it's got red and blue, so we can say the red and blue cord, because we can't say that word. It might offend somebody. It's like negro, the Spanish word for black. And when you
Mhm.
say that
Oh my
word,
gosh.
people
We're gonna
freak out. Freak out.
this is just like we'll say we're in generation 2 of this because they've been kind of doing this for a while, but this is like now a formal document. The next generation of this is gonna restrict more words, and then it'll start cutting words off in other languages. So you won't be able to say blanc, you won't be able to say negro, you won't be able to say hombre.
We've
You
already
li-
started doing that, JJ. We've
yeah.
already started doing that. Retard. Retard is a Latin term that means
Oh,
slow. It's a musical term. Musicians, me and you cannot speak the same language, but if we can read music, we speak the same language. And a
right.
retard is in music. When you're listening to a piece of music, people, and I
Slow
haven't
things
done my
down.
song of the day, when at the end of the song, when it's doom, 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 doom. That's
Yeah.
called a retard because it
Yeah.
slows down.
The
But
tempo.
when we used that term back in the day, because that was the term meant slow, and when we
Yeah.
used that term back in the day, it might have been used as a derogatory term at first, but I would be like, JJ, he's retard. Because
Yeah. Just slow.
that's the same reason somebody asked this not too long ago, and somebody had to explain. They were like, how come that line, I am become death? That's wrong. How come they say that wrong? And they had to explain to those people that that's actually correct. That's actually the correct way to say that from Old English. We have changed that word over the years with the word have. All right. We've inserted a new word for
Right.
I am become death. So now we say I have become death, but I am become death is correct, just like all these other words. So we do this all the time, JJ.
Right.
In 1950, I could say, JJ, you're looking quite gay this morning.
Oh, well,
And you would
I am.
smile and you would be like, I am
Whew.
feeling quite gay today.
Thank you for the compliment. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you. And
And
now,
now it's like you're
70
selling
years
Anheuser-Busch
later,
products.
70 years later, that's 2 generations, JJ, maybe
Yeah.
3 generations. My dad was born in the 50s. Okay. So
Yeah.
2
My mom, my dad,
generations. All right. 2 generations. And that word has completely changed. So
right.
it's not out of the realm of possibility that some of the shit that you know is incorrect.
Right. Could be.
Or don't act like a crazy person that you
So-
know what the hell's going on when somebody's actually trying to tell you, maybe what you were wrong. Maybe you're wrong. Don't go freaking out on
Yeah.
it.
Or maybe you're both right in a different context, right?
Exactly.
Maybe. So Richter over in chat. Hey, good morning, guys. Morning, Mr. E. Mr. E's back. I thought Mr. E had died. Mr. E's back.
I saw him jump in the server yesterday, and I was very glad to see that.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you, Mr. E. Richter gave us some help tech guidance. He gave us some language tech guidance there, Deacon. You should know. The new terms for your chords there are tech dong and tech gina. So that would be genderless, and it would be more appropriate, and it would help you know that the tech dong connects to the tech gina.
So this is the tech dong.
Unless the tech
This
dong
is the
also
tech
connects
gina.
to another tech dong.
But there could be a trans
Well,
chord, right?
You could
With
have
the tech dong connect to the tech gina.
you might have a situation where you have 2 tech dongs and you need to put 2 tech dongs together.
I have 2 tech dongs together over here.
Yeah,
that's pretty gay.
And our audience is witnessing a little bit of that as well. All right, I think we made our point here. The thing I wanted to say about Newspeak was that obviously George Orwell was being descriptive and writing a fiction, but his fiction was depicting a real reality of the advance of socialists and stuff. And this idea of Newspeak, this is very much his idea that those in power would change language in order to constrain thought and acquire obedience.
It was already happening when he wrote that book, though.
Yeah.
It really was. That's what the government does.
Can you say point? Good morning,
That's
David.
What we did. That's what point. That's what we that's what we used to do on the radio. That was a radio trick that was taught to me a long time ago when I first did my top 40 morning show, where we had to do like jokes in the Wacky Zoo Crew morning show. They told us if you want to tell a joke on the radio, that if you want to tell the dirty joke on the radio, You have to reword it. Just reword what you're trying to say so that the person thinks of what you're trying to convey without you actually
Right.
saying it. So I
Just
can
be
tell the dirty joke and get away with it because I wasn't actually saying the dirty part. I was making you think the dirty part. And it was all just having to, I couldn't automatically immediately go on with the joke. I was going to have to take 20 minutes and write down, rewrite the joke just perfectly. And it's the same. I mean, that's me being a jokester. That's the same way with the government. And they were doing this crap when George Orwell was writing this. So
all right. So let's move on. We got some other stories here. Apparently, I thought I had all of these opened up, but they must have dropped some out.
Mr. E and Richter and Jeremy and David and I don't see.
Yeah, we got a bunch of folks. And let's check over Rumble. We got Dragoon Knight watching on Rumble, which is obviously the platform that has the fewest amount of tech dongs. So fewer tech dongs over on rumble.com, guys.
No tech dongs on Rumble? Okay.
Just fewer. There's some. There's a whole lot of tech dongs over on YouTube. Seriously. Ruby.
She's okay.
You're all right. Come here.
She's all right.
Come here.
She's a good girl.
I think she sees mom. I'm gonna let her out.
Yeah, you're all right. All right, cool. I don't have my song of the day ready, or I would take this point to do my song of the day. But I'll remind you folks to come to our Discord server. It is not a place where hackers will steal your identity. It's a place where geeks talk to each other. And come to our Discord server, and we'll talk music in there. I don't have my song of the day ready today.
Okay. Well, we got some. I got a story that's not too far from where we were here. Here we go. Okay. Supreme Court denies West Virginia's request to enforce a anti-trans sports ban against cross-country track and athletes. Okay, so the Supreme Court on Thursday denied West Virginia's request to let it fully enforce a state law that bans transgender women, that is, girls from participating on public sports teams consistent with their gender identity. In an unsigned order, the court denied the Attorney General to let them enforce this 2021 law. Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas dissented, saying they would not have granted their request. Earlier this year, a federal court ordered the state to temporarily halt the ban against Becky Pepper Jackson, a 12-year-old transgender girl. Okay, so we have to do this again, right? The Nashville shooter. The day the Nashville shooter story broke and we read it, we were both like, "Well, what do they mean? What do they mean?" Right. Because they kept saying she killed, whatever, and we were like, "But is it a male? Is it female? What do they mean?" And it literally took. It wasn't just you and me that were confused. Everybody covering the story was confused as to whether that was a male pretending to be a girl. Right. Or a female.
Everybody was.
Like everybody. And then there was like just confusion and like, well, who did the thing? Was it the person that did this thing or that thing? And this is the immediate result of all of this stuff. Is like they just said a 12-year-old transgender girl. What does that mean? And this is CNN, by the way. Yeah, so they're intentionally being ambiguous. Is a 12-year-old transgender girl, is that actually a boy that's putting on dresses? Is it a boy that's been chemically castrated or hormone therapy and stuff like that? It just didn't make sense. Pepper Jackson has been able to compete on her. Okay. And by the way, I'm going to assume this is a boy that has been convinced that he's a girl. And CNN, by using language like this, is reinforcing this idea that, no, this is appropriate, that's a she. Pepper Jackson has been able to compete on her middle school.
I'm so fucking confused.
I know.
You're not trying to be confusing, but I'm so fucking confused. You could say watermelon for the rest of the story, and I'm going to get the same.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the story's about because I don't know what you're talking about because of all the she, he, her, him, he, right. She, he. I can't follow anything, so it doesn't matter what the story's about. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just stating I can't follow the story.
I think this is an unintended consequence that one side clearly appreciates. They're like, well, this is great. This is great. Everything is a continuum. Everything is a spectrum. West Virginia passed a law that banned.
Yeah. So what's the gist of this? They
Supreme
banned
Court
transgender people from
West Virginia was like, look, we don't want boys on girls teams. We don't want boys on girls teams. That's what we want.
Right.
We want to protect girls. A federal court said, halt this law that you passed because reasons. And so they appealed it, and it went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, the way the Supreme Court works is this: federal appeals courts or whatever cases that go through federal courts, they go to the Supreme Court. They get but before they go to the Supreme Court, they're in the Supreme Court's circuit. So there's 9 justices across, like, I think there's 12 or 13 circuits that they operate in, divisions. So before a case goes to the court, it goes to the court and the justice overseeing that district, and he or she may just send an order back or substantiate it before it gets actually elevated to be seen before the court. And not every case can be seen before the Supreme Court. They have to petition, and then the whole court, the whole Supreme Court has to look at the case and be like, okay, we'll hear this case. So this is a case where a federal judge said, hold your state law, and what we're going to do is we're just going to overturn that. They appealed it, and then one of the justices sitting on that supervised this thing said, yeah, we're just going to make sure that state law is overturned. It won't go before the Supreme Court, and the people of West Virginia do not get to decide that boys cannot participate with girls in their sports.
Don't go to a new story. I got to talk. We've taken too long on this. We got to talk. Don't go to a new story. I got something to say.
But Mr. E says, am I talking circuit or circuses? And both are correct in this context. No kidding. Yeah, so Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito are 2 of the more conservative judges. I don't know how much people follow the Supreme Court, and there's 9 justices on the Supreme Court. Typically, there tends to be a 5-4 or a 4-5 divide, where there are 4 or 5 liberal left-leaning judges, and there are the opposite number conservative judges. And a lot of decisions, especially on issues like this, kind of break down to that 5-4 divide. Okay. Samuel Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas are 2 of the more conservative judges or justices on the Supreme Court, and they wrote a dissenting opinion like, "Hey, we would not have decided this way. We would have said, state law. The state gets to make the state law." But in this case, a federal judge. One person, a federal judge said, it doesn't matter what the state said, the state legislature wrote as a law, because I'm going to turn it over, and because I have my wants.
I hate that about our legal system. That is the one, if you were to say, Andy, what's one thing that you can change about our legal system? It would be that right there, because we have the same shit that happens here in Kentucky. Kentucky is mostly a conservative state, and we've got one cocksucking judge up just south of Louisville that's the head of the Kentucky Supreme Court or whatever, and he fucking strikes down every goddamn thing there is that he doesn't like, and he has done it for years. It doesn't matter if 85% of the state wants this. If he didn't want it, he would shut it down. And I thought that was bullshit, that one man has the power to do that. I always thought it was bullcrap.
Good morning, honey.
All right, I got a story for you here that kind of goes along the same way. You might get a chuckle out of this, JJ, but this happened over in the UK. Some cis men, that means straight men like me.
You know the term cis is actually a pejorative. It is like ew, you're cis. You know that, right? It like
no, I didn't know why they
pejorative. When they use the term cis, it is in a way as though you are a piece of shit on the bottom of a shoe. So when they say,
what does that CIS come from? I've never looked this up.
I don't know.
It's got to
I
be
don't
from something. The first part of that word. I'm going to look that up. I'm curious about
Okay.
it.
No, you
But
know
anyway,
what? You should definitely look it up.
okay. Yeah, I
Hey, why
will.
don't we outsource that to chat? Hey, chat, why don't you guys give us a
No,
definition
I'm
for
not
cis?
unfortunate. That's something that I like. I like words, and I
All
like
right.
the
All right.
definition of
Okay.
words and where they come from. I'm going to
Back to
look
your
it up. But
story.
here and over there, me and JJ are cis male, but a team of cis male soccer players recently played in the UK against a bunch of transgender soccer players. A team of transgender soccer players. And comes from
Thank you.
I saw this on a tweet,
I got it.
and I went to look up the story, and the only place that this story is being told is on gay and lesbian websites. So
Oh
I've
man.
never been to the Washington Blade before, America's LGBTQ news source, but this will
Hey,
probably be the last time I go to the
it's the
Washington Blade.
number one source of tech dong news.
I get the number one source of tech dong news is the Washington Blade. But the first for UK soccer, transgender men versus cisgender men. So you see them all
What?
there? All the transgender men.
I see him
The score
looking.
was 8-1. They lost by 7 points.
Oh, what? That must be a fluke. I'm sure it was
Surely
more
not.
competitive than that.
Surely it was more competitive than that.
You know, it chafes a lot when you tuck and run. You know that, right? Like this. So they're at a disadvantage, I think, a
I
little
can
bit.
imagine that's probably got a squeeze. Put a
They, you know
little
who's in
squeeze on
favor
the
of this? It's got to be Johnson and Johnson, and they're selling baby powder like
baby
crazy.
powder. A little chafing going on down there.
Man, oh,
I'm
all right.
I'm getting the weird scene from
Oh my lord.
getting the weird scene from Silence of the Lambs in my head now. We need to change the subject. I don't want the weird dancing scene. Look at the ugly woman.
You sure do got pretty lips. Oh boy.
All right.
Okay, so this was in the news earlier this week. There was some talk that Tennessee Democrats from the state legislature in Nashville, Tennessee, which Nashville's not that far from where you're at, right?
Very
Like
far
Nashville.
from me. I go to Nashville all the time.
So we didn't actually cover the inciting event here, but I think it was either earlier this week or maybe last week. There was an insurrection at the Tennessee legislature, Deacon. A bunch of kind of violent protesters stormed the Capitol.
April 6th.
Stormed the legislature and interfered with the electoral process, which, you know, according to national media, when that happens,
fucking commie traitor bastard.
Yeah, you're an insurrectionist and you're supposed to be like locked up in solitary confinement,
but
even if the room is empty.
On the same hand, now when you do that, you're a commie traitor bastard. But we teach our kids in school that that's the reason we're a fucking country, and the people that did that in the past are heroes. So
yeah,
you never you don't think about that, but think about that just for a second, okay? Because I bet you haven't thought about that since January 6th when this shit happened. But all of that shit that those people did on January 6th, we teach our children that the people that did that in the past are heroes, and that's why we have the great country that we have today, because people acted like that. But when they act like that today,
Revolutionary War,
when they act like that today,
and killed English soldiers,
exactly. It's a double fucking standard. All right.
Oh,
that is what you're not taught in school, and that is what they don't want you to remember. But that's what me and JJ are here for.
Richter has a question about the prior story before we move on here, Deke. How did they get that 1 point? Something seems off. That might have been a diversity point. I think you're not allowed to have 0 points against
that would hurt. If you have 0, that could trigger.
That would imply a difference of capability and a difference of power relationship. And, you can't start
Everybody's equal. Everybody's the same.
Right.
So we've got to at least, make them feel good.
Okay. All right. So Tennessee legislature earlier this week or last week, I don't remember exactly when it was, insurrectionists stormed the Tennessee legislature, the House legislature, and they interrupted legal proceedings. They interrupted the House legislature, which, by the way, is more than happened on January 6th, because what happened on January 6th is that police allowed protesters into the Senate chamber that was empty because the senators were over in the House chamber.
What do you mean, JJ? It's like they escorted them through there or something?
Yeah. It's like they
That's
opened
weird.
the doors for
I wouldn't
them,
think that they would do that.
walked them, give them a tour. Yeah, there were some knuckleheads that were doing stuff that shouldn't have been doing on
They were
January
in
6th.
handcuffs, right? They were taking them through there in handcuffs because they were taking them to the jail, right?
Well, I mean, there were handcuffs present on the officers' belts. On the officers' belts,
okay.
It was implied handcuffing.
Oh, okay.
It was
Well, that works.
implied custody. Okay, so some of the back to the Tennessee issue here. Some of the Democratic lawmakers, 3 Democratic lawmakers, in fact, were complicit with these Tennessee insurrectionists, and the Tennessee GOP, the Republican Party, has expelled 2 Democrats following the state capitol storming. They have the Republicans in Tennessee, in the Tennessee legislature, have kicked the Democrats out of the legislature. So, if you didn't think we were already living in interesting times, well, I mean, we're getting rapidly to the point of like it's our team versus their team, and like, I mean, I don't want that. I don't think you want that. I don't want conflict. But
why not, JJ? Tell us why we don't want conflict.
People die. People go and get killed. If we get
done, because nothing gets done. All right.
I gotta say, I don't mind things not getting done.
That's why I went yesterday and started talking about why Donald Trump doesn't need to run again, because nothing will get done. Nothing will get done. You got anything else? Because I've got another story that'll scare you.
Well, okay.
I won't scare you.
Let me button that. 2 Tennessee reps booted out of the legislature. So, okay, because they were insurrectionists. All right, there you go. Go ahead.
All right, I gotta get your tinfoil hat out. You don't have it. It's a challenge.
I should have brought it. I should have brought my tinfoil hat for sure.
All right. So I got you a tinfoil hat story. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Are you ready to eat your vaccines, JJ?
Weren't we talking about earlier in this episode that it could be some of the chemicals and the modern foods and chemicals and products that we had may be having some sort of adverse effect on human biology to the point where we are consistently and significantly losing our normal hormonal balance, and now we're going to take what?
We had the story yesterday about population decrease and people aren't fertile anymore, and it's really weird how all this stuff happens. And I wonder why, but they've honestly been doing this for a long time. This is not new.
Oh no, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you take your vitamins, don't you? You may as well take your vaccinements.
Yeah. So basically, this is talking about this mRNA that's going into foods, and it talks about this Missouri House Bill 1169 is a bill that's going through that kind of explains this, and they're trying to get this bill to go through. I can't remember where the bill is. I read this whole thing. It talks about what it's going on in this whole little article. And as always in my weird conspiracy theory articles like this, I will post inside our Discord server in the news comment section, in the news section. So you can go down and read all of this, because this is not a news story this is like a WLT report. This is not NewsGuard certified. So you can read this but there's links in here to where you can go and click and actually click and go and read what the House Bill 1169 is, and you can read all this, and it's very interesting because they have been doing this for a long time, and I believe we as a society will never know. There will be those of us that suspect it, but we'll never be able to, even if we have proof, it won't hold up in anything. And they will take this and give it a name like anything else. If this starts killing people and goes wrong, JJ, we're going to give it a name like we do anything else and say that that's what's causing it. Lou Gehrig's disease. What is that? Well, that's Lou Gehrig's disease. Well, what the fuck is Lou Gehrig's disease? We called cancer a virus in the 1920s. So We'll just call it something else. SIDS. That's the one that always got me. SIDS. Infants die of SIDS. Oh, the baby died of SIDS. If my child had passed away of SIDS, I would not rest. All right, because SIDS stands for we don't know. That's what
It really does. Like you have no idea. Like
we don't
I don't
know.
know. Kid just died.
Just died.
Just
That's
died.
what SIDS stands for. Yeah, so.
There's some words on this page that are like really disturbing to me, like Missouri House Bill 1169, a two-page transparency and disclosure bill for gene therapy products.
Mhm.
Gene therapy products. Just dwell on those three words for a minute. Gene therapy products.
The project's goals,
What the
made
fuck?
possible by a $500,000 grant from the National Science Foundation, are threefold. All right. The goals are threefold, showing that DNA containing the mRNA vaccines can be successfully delivered into part of the plant cells where it will replicate,
Mhm.
demonstrating that the plants can produce enough mRNA to rival a traditional shot, and finally determining the right dosage. So they have found out, ideally, a single plant would produce enough mRNA to vaccinate a single person. All right.
Right.
They're testing this approach with spinach and lettuce and have long-term goals of people growing it in their own gardens. Farmers could also eventually grow entire fields of it.
Now, it's
So,
not
and it
possible
talks
that
about,
something could go wrong and a bat could get this and then like, you
well,
know.
who knows? You know, that's human. You know, we could eat a bat and kill the world. But it talks about how it happens with chloroplasts, and if you like stuff like that, like I said, I'm going to post this right now in our Discord server news section, so you can read it. It's really interesting. I like shit like this, but I know not everybody does. You know, the ant story the other day, I forgot who it was like, this is cool. I think it was DSC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we
It's
didn't
like,
even
this
get that deep into it.
interesting. I was like, yeah,
Still-
I know. I like shit
Still
like
don't know
this.
what a gall is.
So yeah, you can check that out. Check that story out if you want to. That's my conspiracy theory story of the day.
Oh.
You want my song of the day?
That's your yeah. What's your song of the day? You got it
I
ready?
got my song of the day ready.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard this particular song, maybe after you've listened to it, because it wasn't one of their more popular ones. But it's I was trying to take a page from your JJ's early '90s, maybe listen to this book. But it's Better Than Ezra, and the song is Porcelain.
Oh, that's
All right, it's not good.
Okay.
Or what was the other one? In the
I
Blood.
probably only know one or two Better Than Ezra's songs, but I definitely
living with you, and it's good.
yeah,
That was Better Than Ezra.
yeah.
This one wasn't as popular. It didn't get as much radio play, but it is so. The lyrics to this song will get you, man. This one is about a lost love and about how your brain can make you think. You know, you're not always in your right mind when you lose your lost love. It's good. Porcelain. It's great.
Hang on.
Her
I
skin
just
was
want to.
like porcelain.
I'm gonna just get a bar of it from myself here, just so.
Her skin's just like porcelain. I can't sing, but
For some reason, while you're saying porcelain, I'm thinking of Bush for a moment here.
No, that's glycerin.
Right.
Glycerin. That's glycerin. Yeah, glycerin. I saw Bush live. Bush and No Doubt. I've seen No Doubt twice. All right, so there's the song of the day, Porcelain by Better Than Ezra from the deluxe album. It's a good album. It's a 90s rock, and Better Than Ezra was a definitive 90s rock band. I think they have that 90s rock band sound, and they were a really good band. Me and my son Alex and Kendra, we all like to listen to music, and I always try to think of bands that maybe these kids nowadays, he's 14, fixing to be 15. I'm trying to think of bands from the 90s that a 15-year-old wouldn't know. They know Nirvana and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam, but they probably never heard Better Than Ezra, you know? Yeah, go.
Mr. E worked security for Garbage.
Nice,
dude. I loved Garbage.
Charlie Manson was awesome, and
rest in peace.
Butch Vig, their drummer, Garbage's drummer, Butch Vig, is a music producer and he was a huge music producer when he was the drummer for Garbage. He is responsible for Nevermind from Nirvana.
Unless
that album.
Unless I misremember my my music history here, most of the band of Garbage were music producers. There were a bunch of
Okay,
producers
so yeah, so
that like,
basically it was three people. Yeah. So Butch Vig and I can't remember the other guy. And the story was they were watching MTV one night and they needed a lead singer. And Shirley Manson was in this other band and they had a video. The train's fixing to come by and drown me out, so I'm gonna have to stop for a second. Always, every time I get into a fucking talking about something.
oh, I thought Shirley Manson was dead. Oh, she's
No,
not. I
no,
thought
she
I must have got her confused
the
with
story I always heard was that they were watching MTV one night and she was in another band that had a video, and that video only played one time on MTV, like 120 minutes in like 3 a.m. And they were watching it and they saw her and they were like, ooh, we like her, when they tried to get a hold of her. And that's why she became the lead singer of Garbage, is because
right.
Butch Vig and saw her video on MTV in the middle of the night. Is the story that I always heard. But I just watched a video or an hour-long interview a couple of weeks ago. Rick Beato is this music guy on YouTube. His last name's spelled Beato, but it's Beato. And he does a lot of great interviews. And he just interviewed Butch Vig, and I just watched it like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. I love Butch Vig. I like
I always thought
production
I
aspect.
always thought this. I probably read the story about I mean, I had the CD way back, but I probably read the story about them in like Spin magazine back in the 90s. And I always thought it was so brilliant. It was like, yeah, if you are a music producer and you're gonna know a bunch of music producers, you guys know how to engineer songs to hook and work.
Yeah,
Like,
listen to those Garbage songs. They were all great hooks, man. They were all really. I'm only happy when it rains.
Yes.
Great
They had
song, man.
the drop and everything. So, I mean, like, it just seems like so genius. Like, why wouldn't you and a bunch of producers just like you're working to front these dumbasses over here screaming at microphones to make them turn them into a band of some kind to sell records. Why wouldn't you be like, why don't we just do it for ourselves? Why don't we just make amazing music ourselves? I always thought it was a great story.
Garbage would have been a great one to see back in the day, Mr. E. That would have been great working.
Yeah, that's cool.
You ever watch Night Flight? Why does that sound familiar?
Night Flight.
Was that videos?
Night Flight.
Up now. Night.
Oh, is he saying? Shirley Manson had a nip slip on the VMAs.
Yes. I remember that logo, Night Flight.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
It was a TV show. Was it on ABC? No.
VH1?
I don't remember. I remember that logo.
See, kids, way back in the day, they used to put music on the television.
All right, so I don't have any other stories, Mr.
There's this thing about MK Ultra, but like I really
we didn't. You know what else? We're getting to the end of the show. Have we just forgot about Fringe Friday?
It's not forgot about. I mean, I barely was able to do any stories for today's show. I was driving
all day, and we didn't do it last week, and we completely forgot. And by this time, I mean, Brian has already cussed us and called us names because he's already finished all 5 seasons of Fringe, and he's going back to watch it for the 4th time.
Yeah, I know. Brian's right. Sorry.
Oh yeah, we'll get back to Fringe Fridays. We've just been really freaking busy.
Yeah. Well, and Donald Trump was indicted, and it was like a whole thing.
Stuff happened.
Yeah.
All right, get your joke out. I've got to talk here for a second.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's going to give me enough time.
Yeah, I've got 10. I got 10 seconds to talk. I've got 10 seconds till I talk, but I got to talk real quick.
All right. So, I don't know if you know this. A lot of people, guys, it's good to get like a real job, especially when you're younger. Real job, earn your own money. And there's some jobs that you have to have a lot of skill, like Deacon's job. You have to have a lot of skill. You have to have an acquired talent to be on the radio and host stuff and like that. But there's some jobs that you can get that are well paying, but they are not necessarily skilled labor. One of those is garbage man. You can become a garbage man. And here's the thing. It requires almost no training, and you pick it up as you go.
Is that your joke?
Yeah.
Really?
No?
I thought you were telling us.
You pick it up as you go. You just pick it up.
All right. Here's my last joke. My jokes come from my son Alex this week. He started off by giving me 2 or 3 just knee slappers that I was cracking up. I was like, oh, I got to tell that one on the show. And then he'd come up with a couple more. And this was his last one that he gave me. All right. Oh, that's not it. What do you call, JJ? What do you call a fish with 2 knees?
A fish with 2 knees.
Yeah. What do you call a fish with 2 knees?
I don't know.
A toonie fish.
You know, that works. That works because
from the South. That's the only reason it works is because we say toonie fish. Y'all got a toonie fish sandwich back there?
All right. Well, guys, I think that's pretty much it, right? If you've watched this long in the show, thanks for watching. If this is the first time you've been seeing our show, thank you very much for watching. Deacon and I are here every Monday through Friday, 6:30 in the morning to talk about news, politics, coffee stuff, whatever. Because everybody needs a couple of dads, I feel like. That's all we got today.
Turn off the lights.
Cut it off.
Hey, check the oil in your car because that's the lifeblood of your engine. It really is.
It really is.
You don't really need to every 3,000 miles because the engines and oil is made different than it was like 30 and 40 years ago. But you need to probably about every 5,000 miles. 3,000 wouldn't hurt. But 5,000 miles, every 5,000 miles, change the oil in your car.
Make sure it's not empty. That's all you got to do.
Just make sure that shit's not empty, please. And I'm not so much talking to the men out there so much right now. I'm addressing all of you females out there.
Yeah.
Even some of you men that identify as females that may be watching the show, I'm talking to you too. Make sure the car has oil at all times. Yeah. This is I know this for a fact from one of the females in my life.
You can identify as a mechanic. Identify as a mechanic. All right. That's all we got. We'll see you guys next week. We love you. Bye, everybody.